The company Jakks is extremely well known for the World of Nintendo line that they made of plushes for the past few years now. And well, over the years they've made tons of plushes of this line, and today we're going to be looking at the first ever wave of plushes that they made in the World of Nintendo line. So with that said, welcome to a look at the Jakks World of Nintendo Wave 1 plush set. Let's start off with the first plush in this set, which is Mario. Now, World of Nintendo plushes have a very distinct look to them, like Sine and other companies. One thing that makes these others stand out is that, well, they're a little more detailed and they're also a little smaller. And instead of using other materials on details, they mostly use embroidery. But yeah, overall, this Jakks Mario plush is actually pretty good. The emblem on the hat and the eyes, the eyebrows, the mustache, and the buttons on the overalls are all embroidered on the plush, which overall makes it look really nice. For some reason, the overall straps are also have embroidered outlines in them, which is just a nice detail that they added that they didn't need to. There are also small pieces of embroidery that are on the gloves, which are actually really hard to see, but it's still a really nice detail that they added. Overall, the face has all the correct details, and overall, they executed all the details on this plush quite well, and they did a good job making Mario look right. One bad thing about the head though is that for some reason on a lot of these plushes the head is looking up for some reason, which isn't accurate to how it's supposed to be, but besides that it's actually a pretty good plush. All of Mario's proportions are right, unlike some other Mario plushes, and overall the shoes and everything are correctly detailed, and they added an extra line through the middle of the overalls to add more detail and depth to the plush. Overall, this definitely has to be one of the best Mario plushes I've ever seen, and a lot of people don't actually like these plushes, but I do, because well, it shows a lot of detail and shows that Jakks actually put a lot of work into making these plushes look well. And well, another good thing about these plushes is that most of them are actually pretty cheap. And well, you can easily find this Mario plush on eBay or Mercari for very, very cheap usually. And now let's move on to the next plush in this set, which is Luigi. He has all the nicely detailed embroidery just like Mario, like on the emblem, the eyebrows, the eyes, the mustache, and the outlines of the overalls. And well, it's good that they embroidered a lot of the materials on, because a lot of companies use felt materials which could easily fall off because, well, but they're only glued on, but these are actually stitched onto the plush so they can't fall off or get damaged. And unlike Sine, the hats actually can't come off of these plushes because, well, they're actually part of the plush itself, which is another good detail because that makes it less easy to get damaged. Also, the color on Luigi, the green on it, is different than other companies use because, well, most companies use a darker green color than this, but they actually use a lighter green color, which actually looks better in my opinion. And overall, I think it's a really nice detail that they changed up from other Luigi plushes that other companies made. But one bad thing about the proportions on this plush as well, it's not taller than Mario. Because, well, Luigi's supposed to be slightly taller than Mario, but this Luigi plush isn't taller than the Mario plush, but still, that's just one small detail they missed out on. And well, besides that one missed detail, they did a pretty good job making this plush, and I would definitely recommend getting it, especially if you want a cheap Luigi plush. Because, well, just like Mario, you can find them very cheap on websites like eBay and Mercari. And now let's move to probably the rarest plush in this whole set, being Toad. Now this plush is actually the most expensive and rare in the whole set, and it's probably the worst in this whole set to be honest with you, for a few reasons. The main reason though is that the proportions are kinda off on this plush. For some reason, a lot of the time his head is just way too skinny and his head's way too big compared to it. And overall, I think they did a pretty bad job making the details accurate on this plush and basis of And overall, I would say that they actually did a pretty bad job on this plush making the shape of it correct because, well, on other plushes they made the shapes of the plushes correctly to how the character's supposed to look, but on this one they kind of messed it up a little bit. But besides that, the plush's embroidery is actually pretty good on the head of the plush and also the mouth. And well, even though the proportions are kinda off on this plush, they still did a pretty good job with the embroidery, but one bad thing is that the coat's made out of a felt material, unlike other plushes in the set. Also, the coat is stitched on, so it could fall off, so yeah, that's another bad thing about this plush, which is why I think it's the worst in the set in terms of accuracy and how well the plush holds up over the years. But yeah, it seems like they messed up a few details on this Toad plush and made it out of some bad materials, but overall, still not the worst Toad plush ever made, and if you could find it, I would definitely recommend getting it because, well, it's actually kind of rare. Because there's only one for sale currently on eBay, and well, it sells for around $30 to $40 when it shows up. And for some reason, it seems like this Toad plush sold less than the others, so that's why it's more rare than the others. It's also harder to find in good condition from what I could see. So yeah, even though it doesn't have the best details and everything, I would still recommend getting it because, well, it's still a rare plush. But now let's go into the enemies in the set, being the Bob-omb. Now, I would say that they actually did a pretty good job making this plush because, well, it's kind of hard to mess up a Bob-omb plush. Because, well, usually they don't take much detail to making his overall a pretty simplistic character, but they still did a great job making it nonetheless. Now, for the proportions on this plush, they're like completely accurate, and overall, the proportions are probably the best on any other Bob-on plush I've ever seen. They also did a good job embroidering on the eyes of this plush, and overall, they did a good job making all the details that are necessary. They also stuffed the legs really well. Because, well, on some other Bob-on plushes, they stuffed the legs badly from like other companies, so they could get like understuffed over the years, but on this one, they actually did a pretty good job stuffing it, so they don't like fall apart over the years. One bad thing though is that the fuse on the top of the plush is made out of a felt material, so they could get damaged over time, but besides that, it's overall a pretty good plush. And they got all the necessary details on the plush correct. And if you want this plush, you could easily find it on eBay or Mercari, and it sells for around like $20 usually. And now let's run to the final plush in this set, which is the Goomba. Now, just like the Toad plush in this set, they did not do a good job making like the proportions accurate on the Goomba plush. Because, well, as you'll notice by looking at this plush, the head's very triangular. Because, well, on the sides of the plush, I think they did a really bad job making it like slant upwards, because, well, they made it slant upwards way too much, and now he looks like he has a triangular head, which obviously isn't accurate. Also, for some reason, the body of the Goomba plush is just way too long and way too skinny for it to be accurate. So I think, just like the Toad, they did a pretty good job making the proportions on this plush, but besides that, they did a pretty good job making all the other details like the embroidery on the face. The inside of the eyes are made out of a felt material, so they could collect dust and debris, but besides that, the rest of the face is actually pretty good. They did a good job making the eyebrows the correct shape, and overall, they look pretty good. Even with the bad shape of like the head of the plush, they still made it overall look pretty good. The outside of the eyes and the pupils are also embroidered on, and overall they're pretty accurate looking. Also, the mouth and the teeth are embroidered on, which is a really good thing about this plush as well. But a lot of companies use felt for the teeth so they could fall off, but unlike other companies, Jakks specific embroidered them on so they can't fall off or get damaged, which is another really good detail about these Jakks specific plushes, not using like felt and other materials like that. But yeah, overall, just like Toad, it has some inaccuracies with the proportions, but overall, it's still a pretty good plush, and I definitely recommend getting it if you can find it, because, well, just like Mario and Luigi, they're pretty cheap. So if you want a cheap Goomba plush, you could look on eBay and Mercari for this plush, and it only sells for like around $10 to $15 usually. But yeah, which plush is your favorite? Mine's probably Luigi, but comment down below yours, and yeah, have a great day.